Maya Rodriguez had exactly $17 to her name when she found the wallet. 17 crumpled bills stuffed into the torn pocket of her second-hand jeans. Barely enough for groceries that would last 3 days if she stretched them carefully. She counted those bills every morning before her shift at Henderson's diner, not out of greed, but out of necessity. Every dollar had a purpose, every coin a destination. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning air in downtown Portland carried the scent of fresh rain and exhaust fumes as Maya hurried down Fifth Avenue toward the diner. Her worn sneakers splashed through puddles she couldn't afford to avoid, soaking through the cardboard she'd placed inside to cover the holes. The city moved around her with the efficiency of people who had places to be and money to spend freely, neither of which described her current situation. At 23, Maya possessed the kind of quiet determination that comes from years of making impossible things work. She had learned to stretch ramen noodles into gourmet meals, to mend clothes with such precision that the repairs became decorative, to smile genuinely at customers even when her feet ached from standing for 12-hour shifts. Her apartment was a studio the size of most people's closets, but she had transformed it into something that felt like home with plants rescued from dumpsters and furniture assembled from curb finds. Working at Henderson's diner wasn't Maya's dream job, but it was honest work that paid just enough to keep her afloat while she finished her nursing degree through online classes. Every tip she earned went toward textbooks she couldn't afford. Every extra shift covered another month of rent in the neighborhood where sirens provided the nightly soundtrack. She had been saving for 2 years to take the state licensing exam, watching her small savings account grow with the patience of someone who understood that good things required time and sacrifice. The diner itself sat wedged between a pawn shop and a laundromat, its neon sign flickering the letter E in Henderson's with the persistence of something that refused to die completely. Inside, vinyl booths held the stories of 1,000 conversations, their surfaces cracked but clean, their red color faded to something closer to rust. Maya knew every booth, every regular customer's order, every spot where the coffee maker leaked. If you didn't position the pot exactly right, her manager, Mr. Henderson, was a 60-year-old man who had inherited the diner from his father and treated it with the reverence of a family heirloom. He paid his employees fairly, never asked questions when someone needed time off for emergencies, and had a habit of accidentally preparing extra food that he would insist his staff take home. Maya suspected these accidents were entirely intentional, but she never mentioned it. Pride had its place, but so did practical gratitude. The morning rush at Henderson's consisted primarily of construction workers grabbing coffee before job sites, office employees who couldn't afford the trendy coffee, shops closer to their buildings, and elderly customers who came more for the conversation than the food. Maya knew them all by name, remembered their orders without writing them down, and had perfected the art of being genuinely interested in their lives without being intrusive. Mrs. Patterson always ordered oatmeal with brown sugar and decaf coffee, and always asked about Maya's studies. Tommy Martinez got black coffee and wheat toast and shared pictures of his daughter's soccer games. Sarah Chun ordered tea and a muffin and worked on crossword puzzles that Maya would sometimes help her finish during slow periods. These relationships weren't just professional courtesies. They were the threads that wove Maya's days into something meaningful beyond the simple exchange of money for service. Maya's own family lived 3 states away in Arizona, where her mother worked 2 jobs to support Maya's younger brother through high school. They talked every Sunday evening, conversations filled with careful optimism and unspoken worries about money. Maya sent what she could when she could, usually $20 or $30 accompanied by notes insisting it was extra money she didn't need. Her mother knew better, but accepted the help with the grace of someone who understood that giving made Maya feel less alone in her struggle. The nursing program Maya attended online was rigorous, requiring her to complete clinical hours at a local hospital while maintaining her work schedule at the diner. She studied during her breaks, textbooks propped against ketchup bottles, highlighter in hand as she memorized medical terminology and pharmacology. Her classmates were mostly older, women returning to school, and younger students whose families could afford traditional college programs. Maya fit somewhere in between, united with them by ambition and separated by circumstance. Her apartment building was a 3-story structure built in the 1960s, where thin walls meant she knew her neighbors' schedules as well as her own. Mrs. Kim Intue worked night shifts at a packaging plant and played classical music softly during the day. The college students in 3C hosted study groups that involved more laughter than actual studying. The single father in 1B worked early mornings and was always rushing his 8-year-old son out the door with backpacks half-zipped and shoelaces. Trailing. Maya had learned to find comfort in these sounds of other people's lives. When her own apartment felt too quiet, when the weight of working toward a future that sometimes seemed impossibly distant pressed down on her shoulders, she would listen to her neighbors and remember that everyone was struggling toward something. Everyone was hoping for better days ahead. The morning routine before her shift included checking her bank account balance on her phone, a habit that usually brought more anxiety than reassurance. Her student loan payments loomed in the background like storm clouds, manageable for now but growing more threatening as graduation approached. She had calculated that if she could pass her licensing exam on the first attempt and find a hospital position quickly, she would be able to start paying down her debt within 6 months of graduation. Every piece of this plan required perfect execution, no room for setbacks or unexpected expenses. Maya's wardrobe consisted of 3 pairs of jeans, 7 t-shirts, 1 dress for special occasions, and the Henderson's Diner uniform polo shirts that she washed by hand each night to save quarters for the laundromat. Her shoes were purchased from thrift stores and maintained with duct tape and determination. She had become an expert at making limited resources appear sufficient, at presenting a professional appearance regardless of the age of her clothing or the condition of her possessions. The walk to work each morning took her through neighborhoods that shifted gradually from residential to commercial, past buildings that housed businesses she couldn't afford to patronize and apartments she couldn't afford to rent. She had memorized the route so completely that she could navigate it while mentally reviewing study materials, practicing medical procedures, or simply planning how to make her next paycheck stretch far enough to cover all her obligations. Portland's downtown core buzzed with the energy of the city that balanced old character with new money, where food trucks parked next to boutiques selling $100 candles, where homeless camps existed blocks away from luxury condominiums. Maya navigated this landscape with the awareness of someone who lived between worlds, too proud to accept charity, but too practical to refuse genuine help when it was offered respectfully. Her dreams extended beyond just completing nursing school. Maya wanted to specialize in pediatric care, to work in a hospital where she could make a real difference in the lives of sick children and worried families. She had volunteered in children's wards during her clinical rotations and discovered a natural ability to calm frightened patients and communicate with parents facing their worst fears. This work felt like a purpose, not just a profession. The morning she found the wallet, Maya was running slightly behind schedule because her alarm clock had stopped working during the night. She had woken up naturally, but 30 minutes later than usual, which meant skipping breakfast and walking faster than normal to arrive at Henderson's before the morning rush began. Her mind was occupied with the pharmacology exam she needed to take that evening and the paper she had due the following week. Mental juggling that had become second nature over the past 2 years. As she turned the corner onto 6th Avenue, Maya nearly stepped on the leather wallet lying on the sidewalk near a bus stop. It was expensive looking, black with subtle stitching, the kind of accessory that cost more than Maya spent on groceries in a month. Her first instinct was to look around for someone who might have dropped it, but the early morning foot traffic consisted of people hurrying toward their destinations, heads down, focused on their own concerns. Maya picked up the wallet and felt its weight, heavier than her own thin canvas version that held more expired student discounts than actual money. The leather was soft, well-maintained, clearly belonging to someone who could afford quality things. She looked around again, hoping to spot someone frantically patting their pockets or retracing their steps, but saw only the usual stream of commuters and early joggers. Opening the wallet felt like an invasion of privacy, but Maya knew she needed to find identification to return it to its owner. What she found inside made her breath catch in her throat. The wallet contained more cash than Maya had seen in one place in years, thick bundles of bills that suggested the owner's monthly coffee budget probably exceeded her entire income. Credit cards from banks that required minimum balances she couldn't imagine maintaining filled the slots designed for them, but it was the driver's license that made Maya's hands tremble slightly. The photo showed a man in his 40s with kind eyes and graying temples, someone who looked like he belonged in boardrooms and country clubs. The name on the license was Daniel Harrison Thompson, and the address listed was in the hills above the city, where houses had circular driveways and views of mountains. Maya closed the wallet carefully and slipped it into her bag, her mind racing through possibilities. She could turn it in to the police, but she knew from experience that bureaucracy moved slowly and the owner might not think to check there immediately. She could try to contact him directly, but calling a stranger felt presumptuous. She could drop it off at the address on the license, but that meant taking time off work she couldn't afford to lose and traveling to a part of the city where her presence might raise questions. As she continued toward Henderson's diner, Maya's thoughts shifted from the practical problem of returning the wallet to the deeper questions it raised about fate, circumstance, and the invisible threads that connected people across different worlds. Here she was, someone who counted every dollar, holding the lost property of someone who apparently never needed to count anything at all. The irony wasn't lost on her, but neither was the opportunity to do the right thing in a way that might restore someone's faith in human decency. The morning ahead stretched before Maya with its familiar rhythm of coffee orders and breakfast plates. But now it carried the additional weight of an unexpected responsibility. Somewhere in the city, Daniel Harrison Thompson was probably discovering his missing wallet and feeling the particular anxiety that comes with losing something important. Maya had the power to resolve that anxiety, but she also had the opportunity to do something more meaningful than simply returning lost property. As she reached the diner's front door, Maya made a decision that would change both their lives in ways neither could have anticipated. She would return the wallet, but she would do it in a way that honored both her own dignity and the trust that finding it represented. The note she would write would come from her heart, carrying with it all the hopes, struggles, and dreams that defined her daily existence. Maya pushed open the door to Henderson's diner, the familiar bell announcing her arrival, ready to begin another day of work while carrying in her bag the seeds of something extraordinary. The lunch rush at Henderson's diner brought its usual chaos of clinking plates, urgent coffee refills, and conversations that competed with the sizzle from the kitchen grill. Maya moved between tables with practiced efficiency, balancing orders in her memory while her thoughts kept drifting to the wallet tucked safely in her locker. During her 15-minute break, she had researched Daniel Harrison Thompson online, discovering he was the CEO of Thompson Industries, a manufacturing company that employed over 2,000 people across the Pacific Northwest. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The photograph she found showed a man who seemed comfortable in expensive suits and boardroom settings, but whose smile appeared genuine rather than practiced. News articles mentioned his involvement with various charities, particularly those focused on education and healthcare access. Maya had stared at these images, trying to reconcile the successful businessman with the very real anxiety he must be feeling over his missing wallet. By 4 o'clock, the diner had settled into its afternoon lull when the lunch crowd had departed, and the dinner customers hadn't yet arrived. Maya wiped down empty tables while her mind wrestled with the decision she knew she needed to make. Simply mailing the wallet seemed impersonal, dropping it at his office felt presumptuous, and calling felt impossible for someone like her to do to someone like him. Mrs. Patterson, nurse in her second cup of decaf at booth 3, noticed Maya's distracted state. "You seem worried about something, dear," she observed with the gentle directness of someone who had raised 4 children and recognized trouble when she saw it. Maya paused in her cleaning, considering whether to share her dilemma. Mrs. Patterson had become something of a confidant over the months, offering advice that came from decades of life experience. "If you found something valuable that belonged to a stranger," Maya asked carefully, "how would you return it?" "Depends on what it was and who they were," Mrs. Patterson replied thoughtfully. "But I'd want to do it in a way that showed I understood its importance to them." This conversation planted the seed of an idea that would grow throughout Maya's remaining shift. As she served coffee and cleared plates, she began composing words in her mind, phrases that might bridge the gap between her world and Daniel Thompson's world. The note would need to be honest without being oversharing, respectful without being servile, personal without being inappropriate. When her shift ended at 7 o'clock, Maya retrieved the wallet from her locker and walked to the small desk in Mr. Henderson's office, asking permission to write a quick letter. Her manager, curious but respectful of privacy, simply nodded and offered her his good pen, the one he used for signing paychecks. Maya sat for several minutes before touching pen to paper, considering how to begin. She thought about her mother's advice that honesty was always the best foundation for any communication, about her nursing instructors who emphasized that healing began with authentic human connection. She thought about the cash in the wallet, more money than she had ever seen in one place, and how easy it would have been for someone in her position to rationalize keeping it. "Dear Mr. Thompson," she began, then stopped and started over. "Mr. Thompson," she wrote, "I found your wallet this morning on 6th Avenue near the bus stop. Everything inside is exactly as I found it. I know you must be worried about losing it, especially with all your important cards and identification." Maya paused, chewing the end of the pen as she considered her next words. She wanted to explain why she was returning it, but not in a way that sounded like she was asking for praise or reward. She wanted to share something real about herself, but not burden him with her struggles. "I'm returning it because my mother always taught me that doing the right thing doesn't depend on whether anyone is watching or whether you'll get anything in return. She worked 3 jobs when I was growing up, and even when money was tight, she never failed to help someone who needed it. I learned from her that character isn't about what you have, but about what you do when no one expects anything from you." The words flowed more easily now, carrying with them the weight of memories and values that defined Maya's approach to life. She wrote about finding the wallet during her walk to work, about the decision to research him online to understand the best way to return it, about recognizing that someone's peace of mind was worth more than any reward she might receive. "I noticed from the photos in your wallet that you have a family," Maya continued, "and I imagine they were worried when you realized it was missing. I hope getting it back quickly brings you some relief. I also noticed your business cards mention work in manufacturing. My brother is studying engineering, and he's always been fascinated by companies that build things that matter. Maybe someday he'll work for a company like yours." Maya realized she was sharing more than she had intended, but something about the act of writing to someone she would likely never meet felt liberating. She could be completely honest without worrying about how her words might be received or judged. This stranger would know her only through this single interaction, which somehow made it easier to reveal authentic parts of herself. "I work at Henderson's," Diner downtown, and I'm finishing my nursing degree online, she wrote. I mention this not because it matters to you, but because I want you to know that good people exist everywhere, in every job, at every level. Sometimes I think people in your position might lose faith in that, especially when bad news gets more attention than good news. The act of writing had become almost meditative, Maya's pen moving across the paper as thoughts crystallized into words that felt both personal and universal. She wrote about her dreams of working in pediatric nursing, about the satisfaction that came from helping people during difficult times, about the belief that everyone deserved to be treated with dignity, regardless of their circumstances. I'm not writing this letter to make myself sound good or to ask for anything in return, Maya explained. I'm writing it because I want you to know that whoever raised you did something right, if you're the kind of person who carries family photos in your wallet and supports charities that help people get educated and healthy. That tells me something important about your character. Maya glanced at the clock and realized she had been writing for nearly 30 minutes, but the words continued to come naturally. She wrote about the importance of small kindnesses, about how her nursing instructors had taught her that healing happened through human connection as much as medical intervention, about her belief that everyone had something valuable to contribute, regardless of their bank account balance. I hope you won't think it's presumptuous for me to say this, Maya continued, but I think you should know that there are people in this city who look up to business leaders like you, not because of your success, but because of what you choose to do with that success. The charity work I read about online gives people hope that those who have been blessed with more remember those who are still working toward their dreams. The letter had grown longer than Maya intended, but each paragraph felt necessary, each thought connected to the larger message she wanted to convey. She wrote about the responsibility that came with finding someone's lost property, about the choice between doing the minimum required and doing something meaningful, about the opportunity to remind someone that kindness still existed in unexpected places. I could have just dropped this at a police station or mailed it to your office, Maya wrote, but I wanted you to receive it in a way that might restore a little bit of your faith in people, the way your charitable work probably restores other people's faith in business leaders who care about more than just profits. As she approached the end of the letter, Maya felt a mixture of nervousness and satisfaction. She had managed to express thoughts and feelings that had been building inside her for years, ideas about dignity, respect, and the connections that could exist between people from different worlds. The act of writing to someone she would never meet had somehow allowed her to articulate her own values more clearly than she had ever done before. I'm not including my contact information because I don't want you to feel obligated to respond or reward me, Maya concluded. This isn't about getting something back. It's about doing something right. I hope this letter finds you well, and I hope you know that there are people in this city who believe in the same values you seem to support through your charitable work. Maya signed the letter simply Maya R. and folded it carefully before placing it inside the wallet, positioning it where Daniel Thompson would find it immediately upon opening. She sealed everything in an envelope addressed to Thompson Industries, including his business address that she had found online. The walk to the post office took Maya through neighborhoods that bridged the gap between her world and his, past coffee shops where business meetings happened over lattes that cost more than her hourly wage, past boutiques where the price tags on single items exceeded her monthly rent. But instead of feeling intimidated by these reminders of economic difference, Maya felt empowered by the letter she had written, by the opportunity to communicate across those differences through shared human values. At the post office, Maya paid for express delivery with money she had set aside for groceries, reasoning that Daniel Thompson's peace of mind was worth the temporary sacrifice. As she handed the envelope to the postal clerk, she felt a sense of completion that had nothing to do with reward or recognition and everything to do with the knowledge that she had acted according to her deepest beliefs about right and wrong. Walking home to her small apartment, Maya reflected on the unexpected gift that finding the wallet had given her. Not the opportunity for financial gain, which she had never seriously considered, but the chance to articulate her own values and to bridge, however briefly, the gap between two very different lives through the simple act of doing the right thing. In the right way. 6 months later, Maya Rodriguez walked through the automatic doors of Thompson Memorial Children's Hospital wearing brand new scrubs, her nursing license badge clipped proudly to her chest. The pediatric ward buzzed with familiar sounds, gentle beeping of monitors, soft conversations between families, and the occasional laughter that somehow found its way into even the most serious situations. "Maya," called Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the head of pediatric nursing who had personally interviewed Maya for the position. "Ready for your first official day?" Maya nodded, adjusting the stethoscope around her neck, a graduation gift from Daniel that came with a note reading, "For someone who listens with her heart." The weight of it felt perfect, a tangible reminder of how far she had traveled from that morning when she found a lost wallet on 6th Avenue. The scholarship from the Margaret Thompson Foundation had covered her final semester tuition and licensing exam fees, but more importantly, it had connected her to a network of healthcare professionals who believed in mentorship and opportunity. Maya's academic performance had earned her immediate consideration for positions that would normally require years of experience. Her first patient assignment was Emma Rodriguez, no relation, despite the shared surname, an 8-year-old girl, recovering from appendix surgery. The child's parents, recent immigrants from El Salvador, spoke limited English and watched their daughter with the particular anxiety of people navigating an unfamiliar medical system. Maya introduced herself in Spanish, watching relief flood the parents' faces as she explained the recovery process in their native language. She had requested permission to work with Spanish-speaking families specifically, remembering her own mother's struggles with language barriers during medical appointments. "Mija," the father said quietly, "thank you for speaking our words. It makes everything less frightening." During her lunch break, Maya received a text from Daniel. "Emma told me about your first day. Margaret would be so proud of the nurse you've become." Their friendship had developed naturally over the months following their initial meeting, built on shared values rather than gratitude or obligation. The coffee shop meetings had evolved into family dinners where Maya helped Emma practice interview skills for social work positions while Daniel learned about the challenges facing first-generation college students. Maya's mother had visited Portland twice, staying as a guest in the Thompson home and forming an unlikely friendship with Mrs. Valdez over shared recipes and stories about raising children far from extended family. Thompson Industries had also evolved, with Daniel implementing a program that provided college scholarships for children of company employees. Maya had helped design the application process, ensuring it identified students with potential rather than just perfect grades. Understanding that brilliance often emerged from struggle rather than privilege, the pediatric ward had a small family room where Maya often found parents sleeping in uncomfortable chairs beside their children's beds. She remembered her own mother working double shifts to afford Maya's childhood medical bills, the exhaustion that came from choosing between sleep and vigilance. "Mrs. Santos?" Maya approached the mother of a 6-year-old boy recovering from pneumonia. "There's a cot in the family room if you'd like to rest properly. I'll stay with Miguel and call you immediately if anything changes." The woman's eyes filled with gratitude. "You understand," she said simply. "Not everyone understands what it means to worry like this." Maya's apartment had also transformed, though she had chosen to stay in her neighborhood rather than move somewhere more expensive. The studio now contained a comfortable reading chair where she reviewed medical journals, plants that thrived under proper care, and a framed photo from her nursing school graduation showing her with Daniel, Emma, and her visiting mother. Scholarship fund bearing Maya's name had been Daniel's idea, but she had insisted on specific criteria: recipients, Must be working students who demonstrated character through community service. Understanding that academics alone couldn't measure someone's potential to heal others, her first month's paycheck had allowed Maya to send her mother enough money to reduce her work schedule. But more significantly, it had provided the security to plan beyond survival. Maya was already considering specialization in pediatric oncology, drawn to the children who needed advocates during their most frightening experiences. The evening shift brought different rhythms to the hospital ward. Visiting hours ended, medications were distributed, and the building settled into nighttime quiet. Maya found herself naturally gravitating toward the rooms where children were most anxious, offering presence when medical intervention wasn't needed. Tommy Chen, a 9-year-old with a broken leg, couldn't sleep because he was worried about missing too much school. Maya sat beside his bed and helped him complete homework assignments that his teacher had sent, turning recovery time into productive learning. "My mom says nurses are angels," Tommy confided as Maya helped him solve math problems. "Are you an angel?" Maya smiled, remembering a conversation with Margaret Thompson's photo when she had first visited Daniel's home. "I'm just someone who believes sick children deserve to feel safe and understood. Angels probably have better uniforms." As her shift ended, Maya walked through the hospital corridors with the satisfaction of someone whose work aligned with their values. The parking garage was nearly empty, but Maya didn't feel afraid. The city had become friendlier, since she had learned to see it through eyes that expected kindness rather than danger. Her phone buzzed with a group text from Emma, Daniel, and her mother planning next Sunday's dinner. The conversation included debates about menu choices, requests for Maya's famous tres leches cake, and Emma's excitement about her new job at a community center serving immigrant families. The drive home took Maya past Henderson's Diner, where she still stopped occasionally for coffee and conversation with Mrs. Patterson, who now bragged to other customers about "my friend Maya, the nurse." These visits connected Maya to her journey's beginning, reminding her that growth didn't require abandoning the people and places that had shaped her character. Her apartment building looked the same from the outside, but Maya's relationship with the neighborhood had deepened. She had organized a health clinic for residents without insurance, recruited bilingual nursing students to volunteer, and advocated for better lighting in the building's parking area. Before bed, Maya reviewed the next day's patient assignments and studied continuing education materials about pediatric pain management. Her textbooks now shared shelf space with thank you cards from families, photos from hospital events, and a leather-bound journal where she recorded observations about healing that extended beyond medical protocols. The last entry in her journal read, "Today I realized that returning a lost wallet 6 months ago wasn't about honesty or kindness. It was about recognizing that we're all connected by invisible threads of need and opportunity. Sometimes being lost is just the first step toward being found." Maya turned off the lights in her small apartment, surrounded by evidence of a life that had expanded in every direction. Outside her window, the city hummed with the dreams and struggles of thousands of people, each carrying their own stories of loss and discovery. 3 weeks into her new position, Maya encountered her most challenging case yet. Sophia Morales, a 12-year-old girl with leukemia, had been admitted for her 3rd round of chemotherapy. Unlike the younger children who often responded to distraction and gentle encouragement, Sophia possessed the awareness of someone who understood the gravity of her situation without yet having the emotional tools to process it fully. "I don't want to be brave anymore," Sophia whispered during Maya's evening rounds, her voice barely audible above the hum of the 4-pump. "Everyone keeps telling me I'm so brave, but I'm tired of being brave." Maya pulled a chair close to Sophia's bed, recognizing something of her younger self in the girl's exhaustion. "You know what? Being brave doesn't mean you can't be tired of it. It means you keep going even when you're tired." Sophia's mother, Alina, worked as a hotel housekeeper, and could only visit during early morning hours before her shift began. Maya had noticed Elena arriving at 5:30 a.m., still wearing her uniform from the previous day's work, bringing homemade breakfast and staying until the last possible moment. The family's struggle with medical expenses was evident in Elena's careful questions about insurance coverage and her reluctance to purchase items from the hospital gift shop. During her break, Maya called Daniel. Their friendship had evolved to include professional consultations when Maya encountered families facing financial hardships that interfered with treatment compliance. "There's a girl here whose mother is choosing between missing work and being present for her daughter's treatment," Maya explained. "The Thompson Foundation supports education, but what about families dealing with medical crises?" Daniel's response came quickly. "Send me the details." Margaret always believed that health and education were inseparable. You can't learn if you're not well, and you can't heal properly without support. Within 48 hours, Alana Morales received notification that the Thompson Foundation would supplement her income during Sophia's treatment periods, allowing her to maintain her job security while being present for her daughter's care. Elena's tears of relief reminded Maya why she had chosen pediatric nursing over more prestigious specializations. The announcement of Maya's engagement to David Chen, a pediatric resident she had met during hospital orientation, surprised no one except Maya herself. Their relationship had developed slowly, built on shared midnight conversations about patient care and mutual respect for each other's dedication to healing children. "I never thought I'd meet someone who understood why I choose the hardest cases," Maya confessed to Emma during one of their regular coffee dates. "David sees children the way I do, not as small adults, but as people deserving specialized care." The wedding planning process revealed how much Maya's life had expanded beyond survival mode. Her mother flew to Portland to help select a dress, staying for 2 weeks and marveling at Maya's transformation from struggling student to confident professional. The guest list included patients' families who had become friends, nursing school classmates, and the Thompson family who had become her chosen extended family. Daniel walked Maya down the aisle, a gesture that honored their unique relationship, without diminishing her mother's central role in her life. Emma served as maid of honor, and Sophia Morales, now in remission, scattered flower petals with careful precision. The reception featured 3 different wedding cakes to accommodate the diverse dietary needs of guests from Maya's neighborhood, community center, her hospital colleagues, and David's medical school friends. Maya's famous tres leches cake served as the groom's cake, a detail that made her mother cry with pride. Tomorrow would bring new patients, new challenges, and new opportunities to practice the kind of medicine that treated souls as carefully as symptoms. Maya fell asleep thinking about the children she would care for, the family she would comfort, and the continuing ripples of kindness that had begun with a simple decision to do the right thing in the right way. The wallet that had brought them together sat forgotten in Daniel's desk drawer, but the connection it had created continued to grow, proving that the most valuable things we can lose are often the beginning of finding something we never knew we needed. Maya's honeymoon with David took them to Guatemala, where they volunteered at a rural clinic serving indigenous children. The experience opened Maya's eyes to global health disparities and sparked conversations about establishing international medical missions through the Thompson Foundation. Working without advanced medical equipment taught both doctors to rely on fundamental diagnostic skills and human connection rather than technology alone. Upon returning to Portland, Maya discovered that Sophia Morales had started a support group for teenage cancer patients. The 12-year-old had become a mentor to newly diagnosed children, sharing coping strategies and honest perspectives about treatment challenges. Alina Morales had been promoted to head housekeeper at her hotel, an advancement she credited to the confidence gained during her daughter's treatment when the Thompson Foundation support allowed her to focus fully on both work and family responsibilities. Maya's pregnancy announcement came during her second year as a pediatric nurse, bringing unexpected perspectives to her patient interactions. Expecting parents of sick children found comfort in Maya's growing understanding of parental anxiety, while Maya discovered that her own fears about motherhood were tempered by daily exposure to children's remarkable resilience and families' extraordinary strength during medical crises. The Thompson Foundation's Medical Assistance Program had expanded to serve 43 families, with Maya serving on the selection committee alongside Daniel and Emma. Each case review reminded Maya of her own journey from financial desperation to professional stability, ensuring that aid recipients received not just monetary support, also mentorship and community connections that fostered long-term success rather than temporary relief. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.